Hello and welcome. We are here for your Monday Mindset moment, and I'm your presenter, Vanessa Callahan, and we're going to be looking at ways to nurture authentic gratitude in kids during the holiday season. Hello and welcome. We are here for your Monday Mindset. Now, often this is in sort of reaction or response to kids not necessarily finding their own way to feeling that gratefulness that we hope they would have. And this is the kind of gratitude that is appropriate, makes sense. It kind of fits the social situation. For example, receiving a gift or somebody doing a favor for you, having an opportunity come your way. And a lot of times, when kids don't have context for these gifts that are coming their way, these good things, these good opportunities, they don't really understand how special they are, how much went into providing this resource or this opportunity for to them, and also the good people that are really behind these gifts. Maybe they were very thoughtful in, for example, picking out something that they really like. Telling a story, for example, of parents who went out of their way to go to 3 stores to find the right toy that they really wanted that holiday season, and wrapping it with care, hiding it in the closet for as long as they needed to, maybe budgeting and saving money up for it. I mean, all these things that go into things like gift giving that are often invisible to the children. So what we're going to be talking about today is not you should feel thankful, because gratitude is an emotion, and it's pretty awkward to tell people you should be happy, you should be sad, you should be angry. However, we very comfortably can find ourselves telling kids they should be feeling grateful. And what that tends to lead to is more shame-based gratitude that doesn't really last, because it doesn't come from this authentic place where the kids are really feeling it from within. And that's what I consider authentic gratitude, where it's coming from within. Now, that doesn't mean it's unprompted, though. And that we haven't created an environment or shared a story or modeled our own gratitude to inspire this authentic gratitude to come from within. So there's a middle ground here. It's not either it needs to show up spontaneously, unguided, or else it's fake, or we tell them they should feel that way and we kind of make them feel that way. There's actually a really rich in between that we get to play in. So to help us with that today, I have something special for you, special prepared, which is a set of slides that I think are going to just help us to really get into the mood for what, and get some of the science behind what, like how this all works, right? Because at the end of the day, if we don't understand how a thing works, it's really hard to use it as a tool or strategy, and how to even put it into practice as something that you model for your children. And for some of us, like this, to be honest, right, this is a gap of our own. Like we don't necessarily always have the right sort of size of feelings that come up when we're given something, or have an opportunity. And sometimes we get out of touch. Let's just be real. We get out of touch with the goodness of life, and the opportunities we've been afforded, etc. And so this helps us also kind of stay grounded in what's real, and keep that perspective. But why gratitude? Like, why do we even want kids and or ourselves to experience gratitude? Well, it turns out it's heavily associated with well-being. And also, when researchers were looking into life satisfaction for children, there was a high correlation between kids who express that they feel grateful for things in their life and their sense of life satisfaction. And it wasn't dependent on social class, on whether or not they were from a historically marginalized group or the mainstream sort of centered group. It was across all demographics that if kids had a sense of gratitude, they had a higher sense of life satisfaction. Now we also need to look at causation, right? Not just correlation. So there's many studies done where they did a gratitude intervention, and that includes my own. I did 2 different studies, one in early childhood, one in elementary. And then I went and repeated the curriculum and the work with other groups of kids just to really see what effect it would have. And there is a causational effect of bringing in what I call the gratitude hacks, ways that we can access gratitude when it's really like it would be appropriate for it to be there, but we're not finding it. So holidays are a time that this is really commonly talked about. We talk about it in Thanksgiving. We talk about it when gifts are given in the winter holidays. And oftentimes we worry that sometimes the kids are not going to experience that gratitude, and it might even be sort of embarrassing. So let's just go through some of the things that we've maybe experienced. So first of all, we might have noticed that kids have learned the scripts for gratitude, but they don't necessarily have the heart behind it when they say it. So sometimes you notice that children will say, thank you, in this kind of sing-song, kind of empty or inauthentic way. And that's fine. Let's teach the kids the social scripts, but like also let's tap into what's available with authentic gratitude. So we can continue teaching kids that the appropriate time and place to say thank you, but let's expand their awareness of the feeling that grows inside of them when they actually feel that authentic gratitude, and also use some really wise tools to inspire it to be more authentic. Another thing you might have been experiencing are kids making demands and getting angry when you don't do things for them, when really they're things that either they're capable of doing or that is really a favor from your side. So now they're actually switching over into kind of ingratitude or into even entitlement. Like, I'm entitled to you doing things for me and I'm mad at you for not doing it for me, is really the opposite of authentic gratitude. So it's something we've got to keep our eye on. Another thing is, experiencing kids being pretty oblivious of how special and good their lives are. And, no fault of their own. They have limited life experience. I'll say it again, they have limited life experience. So maybe they don't have a sense of how good their life is. That's common. Another thing we see is having kids complain when they're on vacation or when their relatives have made the time to come see them, but they're out of the routine and they don't like it. Or they're being what some people would call kind of bratty or spoiled about it. And they're complaining and whining when really they have it so good. And some of us even, can contrast to our own experiences. Like, do you even understand how lucky you are? Like we can even get a little frustrated with the kids when they do this. Another is you might even see kids melting down or throwing tantrums or, kind of stonewalling or pouting or, making really rude remarks when you won't give them things at a store or you won't buy them something online, and they obsess about it or they push for it. And it's just really unpleasant. Or if not for your child, maybe you've seen some older children or teens act this way and you're concerned about what their, level of gratitude versus maybe sense of entitlement is maybe out of balance. So on the other side of this, we'd love our children probably to realize they have a lot to be grateful for. And this is you, just put yes in the comments or the chat of this video, or here on Zoom or Facebook. Maybe you've also want your children to notice how others help at home, at school, or other areas of life. Maybe you want them to show their appreciation in more ways than just saying thanks. You want them to experience this really good feeling. By the way, the science behind gratitude in terms of brain chemistry is that it doesn't play well with what we would call the negative emotions, fear, sadness, anger. As a matter of fact, if you're in a full state of gratitude, it's very difficult to be grateful and angry at the same time, grateful and sad, grateful and scared. It gives you, like, your nervous system, like a bath of good emotions and good neurochemicals to sort of reset yourself and really open your perspective to what's going right, what's going well, who you have in your life that cares about you, and how to expand upon those things and grow them rather than overlook them. Last but not least, boosting social and emotional skills and resilience, because they've also shown that people who are grateful are more likely to have friends. They're more likely to have successful romantic relationships. They're more likely to, be hired in certain environments. In most environments, they're just generally socially more successful and also experience better emotions more often. More healthy, adaptive emotions more often. And so, if these are things you are concerned about, consider gratitude, because we really want to do something important here. I like to call gratitude beyond good manners. So beyond the scripts of thank you, oh, please, excuse me, which we want to teach, we want there to be an authentic core, a root that goes beyond good manners. So yes, we don't want to see this on our kids' faces when they get a gift, right? But even if they were to fake a smile and say, thanks, it's almost as bad. And we're going to keep trying to encourage them to at least try. But what would be even more meaningful is if they could really experience a true sense of understanding and gratitude for what this gift means, what it took for the person to give it to them, how lucky they are to be getting any presents, and not in a shameful way, right? Just in like, oh, kids have it so much worse than you, and kind of shame them into it so they feel bad and guilty. It's more important for them to just understand, like, a lot went into this gift, whether it was the people who made it, the people who, purchased it, or the people who presented it to them. There's meaning behind all of that, and we can help them tap into that. So one thing that I've done is, like I mentioned, I brought gratitude practices into my research, and where I did research was action research in schools. And this is an example of a follow-up practice that I did with a school where I was able to photograph some really beautiful moments. And so one of the things that we do is we introduce the concept of gratitude and really let them find their own way of tapping into what they're grateful for. And so this is a whole wall of gratitude and some close-ups on some of the grateful things that brought gratitude to the kids. And you could see there's just a wide variety of different zones of life. Like it's people, it's places, it's activities, it's food, it's toys and objects, it's even parts of the house. Like some people's really grateful for their backyard. Another person's grateful for the mountains that are in their, they can see on their drive to school every day, and they could go hike in. And this was with kids ages 6 to 9. Really lovely, right? You can see these kids just really enjoying seeing all the different ways that we built our wall of gratitude. Another thing that will help us go beyond good manners is I told stories. And this is so important, helping them to write and tell stories of gratitude and hear stories of gratitude that are related to good people in their community doing things that go beyond their regular, sort of day-to-day tasks. And we went around and I interviewed somebody who was a helper who really prepared and purchased all the snack, an art teacher who went above and beyond to go find the right kinds of materials for her students so they could have success with the special projects, a parent volunteer who came in and did a magic show to entertain the kids and give them some fun on a Friday. And, so these are ways that community members leaned in, and I wanted the kids to be aware of that. So telling good stories is one, and I'll come back to that. Also having kids have a chance to tell more in depth about what they're grateful for. And I asked them to think of a time that somebody really went out of their way to help them out and they felt grateful for it. And these kids had such a good time in our writers workshop writing stories about these times that they authentically felt gratitude. Again, this is all authentic, right? There's no shoulds allowed here. We're not shitting all over the kids. I say, parents, please stop shitting all over your kids about being grateful. Like let it come naturally and then build off of that. Okay. Expand upon what's already going well, that's already there. Next, we had a story time where the kids share their stories and they toasted to the good things in their lives. This is a moment I captured. And then they were also so proud of the stories they wrote and illustrated and got to share with each other. And then they also did something, coming back to those volunteers. They had a chance to then choose, and this is important, they get to choose who of the community members that we told all these stories about to write a grateful story and letter to, and then present it to them. So the kids got to choose, and they chose different people. So this boy chose one of the administrators and drew the whole new jungle gym and play yard equipment that this administrator worked so hard to find the funding. And, it was one of the stories that really captivated him. So he drew a picture and wrote a thank you note with a story in it. And they just had a lovely moment. This, going back to the art teacher, this student wanted to make something special for her and decided she's been doing finger knitting to make a big, long, beautiful scarf. And she noticed that her teacher wears white a lot. And so she made a beautiful gift for her. And then her little buddy wanted to come along and watch and see. Because I said, notice what impact you have on others when you give these gifts to them, when you give this, acknowledgement to them. And what the kids overwhelmingly noticed is that people really lit up. Their faces, got all shiny and smiles and their eyes all sparkly. Some parents even cried, some that were thanked, and some of the staff members. And they just had this beautiful moment of connection and really feeling the good that they were bringing to these adults in their life who really were, otherwise all this would be invisible work behind the scenes. Here's another one. This child was really captivated that, not only did this helper in the community, who was working on snacks and food for the entire school, she not only filled up one grocery basket, but had to fill up 2 grocery baskets. And then her son had to come to help push all those groceries to the car and load them and then unload them at the school. It was this big job to get snack every week from Costco. And they had no idea, food would just arrive. They didn't know that all this effort went into it. And then she spent these hours in the kitchen, slicing the apples and portioning everything for every class every single day. And so once she knew about it, she not only should she write a letter to her, she wrote a letter to her son too. saying, thank you so much for helping your mom bring all these delicious snacks to us. You must be such kind people. You spent so much of your time and energy on the weekend shopping or whatever it was, shopping for us, and we love our snacks. And it was just such a sweet moment to capture. So what you're noticing is that there's a theme here, right? We're talking about helping kids tap into their authentic gratitude. And so one of the things we want to do right off the bat is help them to notice, right? So here's your boost number one for boosting social emotional development with gratitude. So this is the time where you might take some notes. You want to help them inquire and inspire. So what it means is ask about what they already notice, ask about what they think and feel about that, and ask them what they would like to do about it. So like for that child who made the art teacher the scarf, right? First we said, well, what do you notice she already does? And like, did you know she also did this, went around to 3 stores to find the right paint for this project that you loved? And they said, I had no idea. And we ask, what do you imagine? What do you think? So we're into think. What do you think she had? What did that cost her? Like time, energy, money? What do you think? Why do you think she did that? Like she could have just taken the first paint she found that wasn't quite right, but why did she do that? Oh, she really wanted us to be successful. She wanted us to have the best outcome possible, so we would feel very satisfied with our art and we'd have a good time. Just really checking in with what is going on here. What is the story behind the kind act? And then ask them how they feel about that. Well, how do you feel about her going to 3 stores? And because she wanted you to have the best art experience possible. How does that make you feel? And often the kids will say things like, I feel loved, I feel cared for, I feel happy, I feel like somebody, like I matter, is what I heard somebody say. I feel important, right? And these are wonderful feelings alongside gratitude. And often they'll say, I feel thankful, I feel grateful. And that's when I say, great. So ask them, what would you like to do about it? And of course, we had the letter option, but she went and came up with something else, right? She came up with that finger knitting scarf idea, and she felt so proud of it. And she was excited to share it with her friend, her little buddy who she was mentoring. And then she was so excited to come along. Remember this moment. I mean, just look at this. Such a sweet moment that captures how much love she was feeling and how much care she was receiving and able to reciprocate. So then you can model how to be in a grateful mindset, and how good that feels yourself would be part of this. So we're not just asking kids to do this. If we do it in front of them, kids can often learn 10 to 100 times more by what we do than what we tell them to do. 10 to 100 times more. We're social learners. We're meant to watch what's for clues in our environment about how to relate to one another. So if we start to put our attention on the good things in life and appreciate them, you can expand your positivity, and so can your kids. And you can go through a cycle like the notice, think, feel, and do, which, by the way, to credit the Greater Good Science Center, they have some resources around that out there. There's a video about this, about authentic gratitude in children, that I borrowed some of these ideas from while I was researching with their youth gratitude project. So shout out to Greater Good Science Center. They're amazing. They had this huge a huge funding from a foundation come through where they were able to fund all this research. So that's how I got to do my second research project, was through the Greater Good Science Center. And a part of this is because we know that this isn't just a one-off, right? It's not just for the holidays. This is for year-round gratitude. And so please don't wait until Thanksgiving to talk about gratitude, even though this is a great opportunity. It's already on your mind probably to start the practice. But because the regions of the brain with gratitude is part of the same neural networks that light up when we socialize and experience pleasure. So we can build in, because of the reward system of pleasure and with social connection, we can build in gratefulness and gratitude. And it really does, it's like a salve for the soul. It helps us through hard times and helps us to appreciate the good times. And so here's something you can try with your family, with your children, with the kids in your care, with your other caregivers. You can think of 3 things, people, places, or activities you're grateful for, and you can make a gratitude wall if you'd like. And I said, add it to our gratitude wall, because if we were in person, we would be doing this, on the wall together. Even though we're in different spaces, you just need to make your own gratitude wall to make this work. For example, my partner moved their schedule around to give me a ride to work today because my car wouldn't start. They were so kind because they wanted me to be on time. You might write that on a sticky note and stick it up there. What a beautiful way to have acknowledgements and really create that foster that culture of appreciation in your household, right? You can do this. And why this is so great is that everyone can think of at least 3 good things. And you can help them if they get stuck on just things. You can say, well, what about people? What people are you grateful for? Or what places? A real quick story. I have pizza and doctors next to each other in this slide here, right here. And the reason why is because one time there was this boy who was like, I'm grateful for pizza. And that's all he wanted to do. Next day, pizza. Next day, pizza. Okay. Oh, I said, okay, I think you've got the food category covered. What about people? And he thought about it and he goes, I'm grateful for doctors. And his whole affect changed. And I knew there was a story. So I asked. He goes, well, when my mom was really sick last year, the doctor saved her life. And without those doctors, I might not have my mom. So we went from pizza to being grateful for his mother's life in a very short amount of time, friends. So think about if your kid or you get into ruts, expand to, if you're stuck in things or food or something, expand to people, expand to places or activities or opportunities. Sky's the limit here. Don't limit yourself. Okay. Keep it expansive, especially if you keep thinking of the same thing. And you can even make a little challenge that there's no repeats on the wall. You think of 3 new things each time you put things on the wall. Okay. So this is something you could do together as a community, a little household community, or however you assemble as a family. Another that you can do is you can expand and deepen genuine gratitude. And this is what I was talking about, where you take your 3 good things from the gratitude wall exercise and think about why you're grateful for them. So it's not just like that boy could have just said doctors and we could have just left it at that, but I asked why. And look at how much more we got to share and connect and bond over his experience with the doctor saving his mom's life, right? And then he went and wrote this beautiful story about it and was really able to share that, how much he was able to integrate his experience in a really meaningful way into his memory and really process what had happened in the lens of gratitude. And it was so powerful. So think about why you're grateful for things, the things that you put on your gratitude wall. And then you can also play a game where you imagine life without that good thing or that good person or that good place. And what would life be like? And you play it through for a good solid minute, not just, well, then I wouldn't have a mom. It's like, yeah, but what would that mean? Or like even something as lighthearted as pizza. Well, then when we go out, we have to find a new restaurant and just wouldn't be as fun because pizza is the most fun food I've ever had. Whatever, it's fun. So here's a version of that. You can try this at home. Think of the 3 good things you're grateful for, but imagine how life would be different without each one. And when you're done, take a moment to remember that you have these things, and it's a subtraction and then an addition. You subtract them and then bring them back. Tune into any grateful feelings you have once you imagine them back in your life. You might even feel relief. And why this is so great is we can even become more aware of the interconnectedness of life and tune into the importance of the people and things we rely on. Like imagining life without water and realizing how interconnected water is to almost everything we want to do on the planet successfully, including live. I mean, just it's such an interesting exercise, and it really helps us to deepen our awareness and expand our feeling of authentic gratitude. Okay, last but not least, the third one I have for you is to tell stories that raise awareness. Just like those kids had no idea where their snack was coming from and who had to prepare it and shop for it and, schlep all this stuff in these huge, piled high grocery carts and, how many hours we're going into preparing. And so we helped the kids notice how others would kindly give up their time, their money, their energy, and other resources with stories. When you acknowledge the ways that you have benefited in these stories, you can ask, and you can even play a little game where I like this. It's called ask an object, play, ask about an object, play, how did this get here? And even if you have to make it up and imagine how many people, like I have this bottle spray here of this really nice scented spray, that my friend made. And I could stop with, well, my friend Polly made this for me, right? But then I'm like, yeah, but someone had to manufacture this bottle, and someone had to find the source of this material, and then someone had to actually produce a machine that could create these, and then someone had to also put them on a truck and distribute them, and then someone had to drive that truck, someone had to put that on the shelf. It just it's amazing how many people were involved in materials and resources were involved in just this thing coming here, and we haven't even talked about the ribbon, right? Or the essential oils on the inside. So suddenly I'm feeling very connected to the raw materials, which is I'm connected to my environment, to the earth, to the planet, but I'm also feeling this chain of hands that this had to come down and through in order for this to exist in my world, to even be here. It wouldn't even exist And that's a powerful thing. I actually, now I'm going to look at this bottle and admire it differently, just having gone through that exercise. And of course, I'm grateful to Polly, my friend, but now I have this expanded sense of it. So here to recap, 3 things to do. You can inspire and inquire and inspire, modeling going through the inquiring, notice, think, feel, and do, and then also encouraging your kids to walk through those steps with questions and really listening. Expand and deepen genuine gratitude by thinking of 3 good things, but then expanding upon that and asking why and imagining your life without those things, people or places, opportunities, etc. And last but not least, if you do nothing else, tell stories that raise awareness. Help make the invisible visible to your children. Let them see what goodness they have in their life, okay? Let them know what's possible when they tune into that gratitude, okay? And so let's just close with these 2 thoughts. Mary Oliver once said, instructions for living a life: pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. And by Meister Eckhart Tolle, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. And with that, friends, I'll leave you with your gratitude infusion of inspiring ways to raise authentically grateful kids. And this is a part of our Raising Our Resilience. Gratitude is also associated with being more resilient in the face of setbacks, because when you can find a way to be inspired through the hard times and tune into the good things that are in your life, you're able to withstand the trials and tribulations because you have a solid base to come back to, a solid perspective. And that, my friends, is everything. I'll tell a short story to close us out. I landed in the hospital during COVID before we had a vaccine, and I didn't know if my fever was COVID and I was going to be one of those cases where it was going to be really bad and I was going to be in the hospital, or if it was something else. It turned out to be a severe kidney infection from a very small kidney stone that blocked my kidney from draining. And if I hadn't gone to the hospital, I would have gone septic and I would have only had a 50% chance to live. So as they were pulling me back from the edge of that, I had surgery, and they're frantically trying to keep my blood pressure up and try to find the right antibiotic. I mean, they must have tried 5 antibiotics by the time I got out of the hospital. I was there by myself, no family allowed. And I just remember reviewing my life, all the people that I have in my life that I'm so grateful for. And every time a human being walked through the door, I just thanked them. It's like, thank you for being here. I know you're putting yourself at risk every day being in the hospital with this COVID epidemic, and you're here to save my life. Thank you. And some people were too busy for me to tell, or I was too out of it, but I was feeling it. And that feeling of gratitude got me through one of my scarier experiences of my life. I mean, at one point they were running back and forth with all the alarms going off because my blood pressure was so low and my temperature was so high and the antibiotics weren't working. And I was like, this might be it. And I just had this moment of just pure gratitude. And where I credit it to is like all the goodness in my life, what I've been so lucky to, like the opportunities, the people, the places, the perspectives I've been exposed to that even led me down this road. Friends, I'll tell you, it's because I practiced gratitude practices and they were alive and well inside of me when I needed them the most. And so even if gratitude's a great thing to feel. So move towards it as a thing to feel good, so you can experience goodness as a family, but also to move away from entitlement, anxiety, depression, like things that can really lock us into an ungrateful perspective, and help you have something that will be your safety net psychologically and emotionally when you go through the hardest things. And every time I review a difficult time in my life with gratitude, I always find gifts there. Some of the hardest things I've been through make me the best coach that I could possibly be, because I can understand my clients' struggles from the inside out. Whether and it's not always parenting challenges. It's also life challenges. Clients keep finding me who also maybe had a tiger parent or dated a narcissist at some point, or, it's just amazing. I feel like people come to me and I'm like, yeah, that, are creating their family in a less conventional sense, right? Using a donor, going through creating a family in a different way than maybe the fairy tales tell us to. for example. So keep tuning into what's possible here, friends. There's a lot of richness to tap into. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share these with you and all the ways that we can play. I mean, I have like 52 gratitude practices. One day I'll make into a Spark deck. That for today, I gave you a good overview of things that you can hopefully take away. Right into the chat, into the comments. Let me know what you've gotten out of this. If there's a practice or an idea that stood out to you today, we always love to hear that in the comments. And we pay attention to comments. So also tag me if you're on Facebook, or if you do on YouTube, I'll definitely see it. So please let us know and what you got out of it. And if you have any follow-up questions, and I'm so happy to support you. And for that, I will say good day and lots of love till next time. Bye for now.